Hello and welcome to the HeartWorking Dad podcast. I am your host, Gabriel Perez, and this is the podcast for Christian fathers looking to do the hard work of HeartWork. And the purpose is to build a foundation of spiritual and practical leadership that we can take into our family. And if this is the first time we're meeting, I'm your host, Gabriel Perez. I've been with my wife for 19 years. We have 3 kids. We both work full-time jobs and we homeschool our kids together. In addition to that, I am a certified biblical parenting coach from the National Center of Biblical Parenting Association. All right, let's talk leadership, family leadership, and how, if you listen to the past episode about trimming the yard and removing of the dead branches that I talked about, well, this is trimming the yard and realizing how I lead my family. And it wasn't very good. If I were to give myself a report card, I would probably give myself like a D-. And that's being generous. So let's just get into it. So just to give a little preface, it was 114 degrees outside, 10:30 in the morning. I decided that I'm going to trim all the branches in my yard that I haven't done for a whole year, I think. And then after breakfast, I recruited my kids. My youngest was already out there with me. He's a champ. I mean, he was just there. Like when I was cutting, he was getting the branches, throwing in the garbage. He was no problem. So I recruit my 2 other older kids, 11 and 8 years old, and we go out there, and I'm just having them cut up the branches, rake up the leaves, put the branches in the trash can while I'm continuing to trim. And I tell you, I could blame the sun that it was 114 degrees, but I was not at my finest. I just realized, we're doing, I'm on them. Hey, come on, guys, let's keep this up. We're almost done because, it's hot. I want to be finished, but I just noticed that they're just slacking. Then they get distracted by stuff in the garage, and then my daughter's like, hey, does everyone want water? Let's get water. Of course, it's hot. I don't want to deprive them of water. It's 140. But it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes within starting. But they all just got distracted, and I'm come on, guys, come on, pick up this. I told you to cut this. Don't do this. That's not safe to cut that way. And I'm just losing my patience. Then my youngest, he wants to put on gloves. We all got gloves on except for him because I didn't have a pair for him. All I had was these snow mittens, and I don't know what he was doing, but every time I put them on, he would come up to me 2 minutes later put on, and the mitten's completely inside out. I'm like, what the heck? And then so I'm trying to put him on again, and when he puts mittens on, he's putting it 2 fingers in 1 finger, and it's starting to become annoying. And I'm losing my patience. I'm not going to put these mittens on anymore. Come on, guys, get back to work. And I found myself really just not leading my family well, and I honestly felt God just kind of tug on my heart, just be like, is this how you lead? I don't think he said it that harsh, but it was the idea, this is you leading your family right now. Because we can lead in regular moments, but I think as leaders, what really counts is how we lead in the tough moments. How we lead when it's 114 degrees outside and you're sweating bullets and your kids are going 3 different ways. I could have been a better leader. I could have been more patient with my kids. I could have explained things. I could have taken the time to come alongside them. I could have released expectations. I know for me, I grew up in a military household. So every Saturday, I was out in the yard working, and that started when I was 5. And you did the job that was given to you. And if it wasn't done right, you're going to do it again until it is right. I remember my grandpa being like, you need to pick up all these leaves here. And it'd just be leaves and rocks, and you have to individually pick up leaves sometimes. And it just takes forever. And I'd be like, and I try to, do a half-assed job. And he'd be like, no, it's not a good job. Get back there and do it. I still see leaves. And I can find myself like that too sometimes when it comes to certain jobs. I can easily be kind of nitpicky. Can easily be like having this expectation that they should be like me. They should be doing the job like me. But really, a good leader, is not going to hold this expectation and judge them by it, but actually come down beside them and help them be that. Bring that out of them. And I wasn't really doing that. I was actually just dictating with very little patience. So I realized this is an opportunity for me to do better as a leader of my family. This is one of those opportunities where it's like training ground. So I hope the next time I start trimming my yard that I will come at it better. And actually I was thinking of today I worked out with my kids, and immediately I felt myself going like, oh no, let's do this. But I was like, no, let's slow down and let's be that leader that's different than the one I was on Saturday. Second, second failure. So that's, that if I was being graded right there, that was probably a C. And then if I go further, I probably actually failed in all of leadership that day. But I learned a lot. So therefore, maybe it wasn't a failure. But I'm doing the side yard, and magic, kinetic sand. Oh my gosh. Biggest mistake of my life. My son, for his birthday, had got a Monster Jam table from my in-laws. And, it has a sand thing where you can put sand, and it came with some kinetic sand, and we actually had some. So he plays out there. We play with the sand. Well, he had played out there for a few days, and we didn't pick up the sand at the end. We just let it be out there. And that sand does not sit well when it's in the sun, when it's scattered all over the ground. It actually stuck to the shoes, and we were all slipping from it because it stays on our shoes. It wasn't coming off. It's almost like a glue, sand glue. So when you're walking, you're slip and sliding. I went to the side yard, and I had to clean that. And so this was after I trimmed all the yard. I still got to do the side with all this kinetic sand that's glued to the floor and over all the chairs. And then I know I also have to do the back. So, I'm a little tired, and, I relieved the kids of their duty. They had done a pretty good job. We did a lot of trimmings in the front. And so I'm sweeping it up. I realized I couldn't just blow it. I actually have to manually move everything to the side, sweep one side, then move everything back, sweep the other side, and then I can kind of blow it and do a decent job. Well, my wife comes out. She goes, hey, are you going to pick up those clippings in the front yard? I was like, what do you mean? She goes, yeah, there's a whole bunch of clippings on the walkway. And, even as I'm saying it, I could feel the annoyance because I'm like, a whole bunch of clippings. And anyways, I'm still learning because I'm already getting kind of annoyed as I repeat it. But the thing is she's like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of clippings. And I was like, no, there's not. And she goes, yeah, there is. I just looked. And immediately I'm annoyed. Immediately I'm offended. And you could say yeah, you did a lot of work. I mean, my defense was, dude, I did all this work. I've been out here sweating in 114 degrees. And the first thing you say to me is, I didn't pick up these clippings. And there was some clippings, but it wasn't a whole lot, not compared to what we just filled. But I was offended. And then all of a sudden I'm angry, and I'm like, ugh. I'm sweeping in anger and just what the heck, man? How dare she come out me? And then again I realized, wow, you got offended pretty easily. You really took that to another level. And then what was my response? I didn't, I think it was okay that I was a little annoyed. I could have been like, you know what? I really don't appreciate that because I've been out here working, doing my best. Maybe I could have come back with that. Or that comment made me feel a little hurt because I'm actually working really hard out here, and you're you're coming at me with some clippings and you're not noticing what I'm doing out here. Communication, better. But my response was anger, internal anger, bitter, frustrated, and now I'm angry at my wife too. So it was just not a good way to take it in. And I think we can easily get offended. Of course, I think our significant other, our spouses, is always going to find a way to make us upset because, we want to do the right thing. We want that. I wanted my wife to come out and be like, hey, great job. This looks amazing. I think we all want that from our spouse. And we're not always going to get that. But how do we respond? How do we take that? And so I have to really realize also, could I have communicated better instead of just being like, that was kind of annoying. Like I literally opened the door and shouted that and then closed the door. So not even the mature response. But my failures can be your lessons, your takeaways. And, and it's also my takeaway too. It's something that I really need to reflect upon. And as I lead my family, I take these promptings that I get from God that He really, I really got to say these are moments of fathering. These are moments when He is teaching me, He is guiding me, He is fathering me, and I have to be open to receiving them in the same way that, we hope our kids receive the correction or the guidance that we're trying to give them to help them be better, to help them grow, to ultimately help them in life. And I think God does the same thing, but He's just so much more graceful. He didn't just like make me feel stupid or anything. It was just like, could we have done better? Well, what is the result of how you're leading? It's just these questions that really help me to understand. So that is my challenge and encouragement to you. The encouragement is, hey, you could do a lot better than I did. So, and I know that that's why I'm sharing that. That's why I'm sharing my failures so that you can be better. You can take it to your family and do better. And the challenge is be better than me, which is not hard. We're in this together. Anyways, that's what I got for today's episode. Hope it brought value to you. If it did, please consider leaving a rating and review. Really helpful for the podcast. Another thing I wanted to mention is my brother has the Frontline podcast for Christian men, Matt Knoll. He hosts an online Zoom prayer on Fridays. I am there anytime I can be, as work permits. But honestly, it's so great. I would encourage you to join. If you would like to join, you can email the email that I don't know, Matt at the Frontline. I should have been a little more prepared. I just keep forgetting to write it down. But you can email me at HeartWorkingDad@gmail.com, and I can send your email to Matt, and he will put you on the list because he sends out the Zoom link on Friday. And, if you're privacy or whatever, he just blind copies everybody, so nobody knows nobody except on the Zoom call when we're all there together. But it is such an awesome, encouraging time of prayer. Some really great guys on there. And I think he's someone that I've partnered with as a brother in life. And I would just also love for the people that I talk to through this podcast, through YouTube, to connect also through that platform with him and the message that he has for Christian men. It's an amazing message. But, yep, there we go. That's it. I said it. Probably rambling at this point. But we'll talk soon. Thank you.